Welcome to Shadow Seekers. I'm Elijah Freed, your host, and this episode's a little bit different. You may have not have heard this theory before. Birds aren't real. They're government drones, and I'm going to explain to you the claims, the timeline, and the so-called proof, and the holes in it, and why this myth still won't die. The basic story starts in the 1950s and runs throughout the 1970s. According to believers, the United States government decided real birds were a security risk. They were too unpredictable, too hard to control. So they killed them all. Every species on the continent. Sparrows, hawks, ducks, songbirds, everything. They used planes, some say old bombers with spray tanks attached to drop chemicals over forests, fields, and cities. The poison worked very fast, and birds dropped mid-flight. The bodies were collected by cleanup crews, or they were just left to rot and disappear in the soil. There were no mass graves, no news reports, nothing the public saw. This wasn't a one-and-done event. It was rolled out in phases. Rural areas first, where few people would notice, and then suburbs, then cities. By the time it hit urban zones, the people were used to seeing fewer birds, and they blamed it on new buildings or car exhausts. By the early 1970s, the replacement was complete. The mechanical birds went up, exact copies with feathers, beaks, exact wing shape, and flight patterns, which all matched. They ran on small rechargeable batteries, and they still run on rechargeable batteries, and they have cameras in the eyes or chest, and with microphones in the throat, with tiny transmitters that send data back to ground stations or satellites. The government can track where people go, what they say, and who they meet. A pigeon on a park bench isn't resting, it's recording. A crow following your car, it's not curious, it's logging your route. Early models were clunky, bigger batteries, shorter range, but by the 1980s, the tech improved. Solar assists on the wings, better compression for video feeds, and today, believers say they got AI on board, predicting movements, flocking, and patterns to cover events like protests or parades. People point to a few things as evidence. Let's break it down. 1. Birds sit on power lines for long stretches of time without moving. They say it's because they're charging. The wires act like wireless charging pads. Real birds would move around or look for food and fly off. These ones just sit there until they're full. Then they take off together like they got the same signal. Believers post time-lapse videos of rows of pigeons in a line, still as statues for 30 minutes, then all gone in seconds. They claim it's not natural for birds to shift weight, scan for predators. Drones conserve power by shutting down non-essentials. Number 2. Bird poop. White streaks on cars, sidewalks, and statues. Believers say it's not waste. It's a liquid that contains tracking particles, tiny sensors, or RFID tags that stick to whatever it lands on. That's why it's so hard to wash off sometimes. It's designed to stay. Some take it even further. The formula changes based on the mission. UV markers for night tracking, or chemicals that react to heat from engines. They test it themselves, scrape samples, put it under microscopes, claim to see uniform particles not found in real droppings. Forums have threads with DIY analysis, pH tests, solubility checks, and they argue it's synthetic. 3. You almost never see baby birds in cities. No fledgling pigeons learning to fly. No nests with eggs you can watch hatch. The drones come out of factories fully grown. The childhood phase, they're deployed ready to work. No childhood phase. They're deployed ready to work. This one gets a lot of traction because it's observable. People in rural areas might see nests, but in places like New York or LA, they're rare. Believers say that by design, urban surveillance needs adults that blend in immediately. They point to Stats like pigeon populations in cities stay steady without visible reproduction, no boom and bust cycles like real wildlife. And number four, some species act strange. Seagulls that follow boats too perfectly, pigeons that don't scatter when you get close, or owls that appear in the same spot night after night. Believers say that's programming. They're assigned patrol zones. Take migration. Why do geese fly in perfect V's without stragglers? Or why do certain birds show up during big events? Or flock over Super Bowls or political rallies? It's not coincidence, it's deployment. Videos circulate of birds malfunctioning. One famous clip from 2019 shows a pigeon walking in circles, head twitching before flying off. The comments call it a software loop. Number 5. The sounds. Bird calls that repeat to exactly. There's no variation in the real songs. Uh, there's no. Okay. There's no variation like real songs, which change the mood or territory. Number 5. The sounds. Number 5. The sounds. Bird calls repeat to exactly. There's no variation like real songs, which change with the mood or territory. Believers record them and run them through audio software and find patterns like digital artifacts and compression noise. A robin's trill might loop every 12 seconds, identical waveform each time. Real birds improvise. The timeline lines up with other government projects for some people. The replacement supposedly started around 1959, right when domestic surveillance programs were expanding. CIA's Project MK Ultra was messing with minds. Why not skies? It finished in the early 1970s, around the time Watergate made people start asking questions about what agencies were really doing. A few tie it to bigger events. They claim Kennedy was killed partly because he wouldn't approve the final rollout of the Bird program. But there's no documents to back that up. It's just hearsay. Others link it to the Church Committee hearings in 1975 exposing illegal spying. Birds would have been the perfect workaround. No warrants needed for wildlife. Now, let's get into the movement history. It didn't start in the 50s. That alleged plot, the theory as we know, blew up in 2017. Peter McLindo, a 17-year-old from Little Rock, Arkansas, was at the Memphis Women's March, saw counter-protests with wild signs, grabbed cardboard and wrote, "Birds aren't real," and started ranting to anyone who would listen. The government killed birds, replaced them with drones. It was entirely satire, but people bit. He kept going and made Instagram accounts, TikToks, and a website. He created characters like Eugene Prince, a fake ex-CIA guy confessing on video, leaked documents with redacted stamps, blurry photos of drone factories. By 2018, it had chapters in colleges, rallies in parks, people with signs chanting, "Wake up, sheeple! The birds work for the government." Merch, hats saying, "If it flies, it spies." In a van tour in 2019, McLindo and other friends drove across country holding events. Thousands showed up. Some got it as a joke, others they'd approach after whispering, "I knew it." In 2021, the New York Times piece, McLindo admits it's a parody, a critique to how conspiracies spread. QAnon, Flat Earth, all that. He said Gen Z needed a fake one to laugh at the real ones. A book in 2024, Birds Aren't Real. The True Story of Birds, the Government, and the Greatest Conspiracy of Our Time. Full of mock evidence, but it's clear it's art. Even after the reveal, subreddits like Birds Aren't Real have 400,000 members, and they post daily with new glitch videos and theories on updates. The counter arguments are straightforward. Let's listen to them out. No one reported billions of dead birds flying out of the sky. No farmers, no hunters, no kids playing outside saw piles of corpses. The newspaper from the 60s and 70s don't mention anything like bird populations are tracked by scientists or anything. The Audubon Society counts Christmas bird counts, and they show normal fluctuations from weather, pesticides, and habit loss. Nothing that looks sudden like wipeout and replacement. If 12 billion birds died, ecosystems would collapse. Bugs everywhere, crops ruined. I don't think this happened. Biology checks out. Dissect a roadkill bird, muscles, bones, guts, all organic, no batteries. Migration is tracked by radar, bands on legs, real paths, real returns. Songs vary. Experts study on dialects. The whole idea got big around 2017. Before that, scattered forum posts, but nothing viral. McLindo admits the satire, interviews, podcasts, and he laughs about it. But tech makes it sticky. The government has bird drones, DARPA's nano hummingbird, tiny flaps, and it spies. AeroVironment's Black Hornet, palm-sized, it's palm-sized and for military use. China's Dove drones, they flock like birds and evade radar. Boeing has biometric UAVs. Not replacing all birds. Not replacing all birds. That would cost trillions. And they need factories the size of states. But small fleets? It's very possible. Believers say the full replacement is an exaggeration, but the core is real. Some birds are drones, testing grounds for mass surveillance. What does it mean? A joke exposing trust issues in 2020. In 2026 with AI cams, smart cities, data brokers, feeling watched is normal. Birds aren't real lets people vent without committing to scarier theories. Or it's misdirection. Laugh at birds, ignore real. I don't know. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm telling you what people say when they're convinced things in the sky aren't alive. The details, the debates, the evolution from prank to phenomenon. If you got your own sightings of the same bird in the same cities, droppings that don't look right, something that moved wrong, send it in. There's no judgment. It's just information. Well, that's it for tonight. This has been Shouted Secrets. I'm Elijah Freed, and good night.